to the Lore Table. I'm your host, Teen Wolf, and today we're going to be talking about the origin story for one of Flesh and Blood's most beloved heroes, Dorinthea Ironsong, the girl from Solana, the City of Peace, the center of Wraith, and the girl destined to be nothing more than a blacksmith for the Ironsong family. Which, if you didn't know, the Ironsong family are known for being the greatest blacksmiths in all of Wraith. And Dorinthea was going to be just that, a blacksmith. But she didn't really want to be that. Growing up, she'd go into the inn next to her family's forge and listen to the stories, the tales of travelers, all the monsters and demons that they had to face in their villages on the outskirts of Solana. She'd go to the Solstice, an event that happened once a year in Solana that called people from all over Wraith to come and watch the next generation of men and women become knights, protectors for Solana. And Thea wanted to be just that. A knight, a protector of Solana. And one day, on her 18th birthday, she'd get a chance to be just that. Putting on the apron, becoming a full-on blacksmith for the Ironsong family. She walked into the forge, but all the swords were glowing. One in particular glowed brighter than the rest, and as she walked closer to it, it glowed brighter and brighter. The Dawn Blade. It beckoned for her to hold it in her arms. And as she walked closer to it, glowing brighter and brighter and brighter, she picked it up. All the other swords dropped, and it just kept glowing brighter and brighter and brighter. And the next day, Templars came into her family's forge and told her that she was destined to become one of the next knights of Solana. So she was enrolled into the academies, trained non-stop, made some friends in Valera and Felix, where they would train non-stop, an inseparable trio that would train non-stop, going to the amphitheater when they weren't, listening to the history of Solana, going to the inn next to her family's forge, listening to the tales of travelers. And once their training was finally over, Felix sadly was assigned to a different squad, but Valera and Thea were assigned to the same squad under the command of a Templar named Hala. A Templar that Thea, whenever she got the chance to, would spar with, only being able to beat her 3 times, but in between missions, it was quite fun to do. Since they did do it for 6 years. And what was that mission? Well, they scouted the outskirts of Solana, protecting the villages and making sure that they weren't getting threatened or killed or destroyed by the savage brutes. A threat that kept growing and growing every passing day. And one day, 6 years into their mission, they were assigned to a camp where many knights, Templars, scholars, healers were gathering, meant to do one thing: protect Solana from the Savage Lands. Half of them were ordered to go into the forest, hunting down every brute that they could, forcing them as far away from the border as possible, while everybody else set up defenses to make sure that the brutes would never cross the Solanan border ever again and threaten the villages on the outskirts of Solana. But Thea, Valera, Hala, they were assigned to different squads. And after 6 months of doing nothing but protecting the border, Thea came back one day, after a day of killing brutes, to a camp that was ravaged, destroyed. Blood stains everywhere, armor torn up and thrown all over the place. Everybody had been kidnapped by the brutes, and Thea begged for Marcus to let her go into the forest and rescue them with everybody else. Let's go rescue them from the savagery of the brutes. And Marcus said no, told her that they had their orders to protect this camp from any other brute attacks. But Thea kept begging, and he kept telling her no. So that night, she went into the forest to go and rescue them from the savages, from the brutes. And she eventually found them, all the brutes, but before she could attack, one spotted her, called to the rest, and they all swarmed her at once, barely being saved by Hala's squad, forcing a couple of the brutes back into the forest. But before they knew it, 9 more brutes came at him and forcing him to retreat. But only Thea and Marcus escaped. Hala in between their arms, badly injured, barely alive. A couple of more people came out, including Valera. Thea was destroyed, hated herself for her mistakes, for letting so many die, including over half of her squad. She could never don on her armor again. She wouldn't. And after returning home, she went back to the family forge, still hating herself for her mistakes. But one day, she got orders from Hala to come and see her. She was wearing her mask and her armor, showing her, Thea, none of her body that had most likely been completely destroyed by the brutes. And she told Thea, "Are you ready to prove yourself and become a Knight of Solana?" A couple of weeks later, on the day of the solstice, she walked down the path, getting ready to be knighted. And before she turned to everybody else and swore to herself and everybody that she would never make the same mistake she did as a trainee, that she would become the greatest knight in Solanan history, and that she would do nothing but protect Solana and her fellow knights. She was knighted and truly became a protector and knight of Solana. Hope that you enjoyed that, everybody. Hope that you enjoyed that little tidbit of lore of Dorinthea's origin story. Once again, it's a bit of a sad one, but to be fair, most origin stories in Flesh and Blood are. But anyways, with all that aside, hope that you enjoyed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, you won't regret it. And with all that aside, I'll see you next time, everybody.